Hi all, welcome to Lecture 4D, and we're going to again use some of the slides from the amazing Dr. Moats to review some of the important points from chapters 6 and 7. Let's get started. Let's think about a sentence. How do we describe a sentence? As a complete thought? A group of words that begins with a capital and ends with a period? A sentence is an underlying syntactic scaffolding with two required slots that tell a simple story. Something or someone is, was, does, did something to something or someone else. Each structural slot holds categories of words, phrases, or clauses that play required roles of the doer or topic, the doing or happening, and often the done to. The doer or topic, or the thing, idea, or person that the sentence is about, is its subject. The action or being of the sentence is its predicate. The done to is a thing or person receiving the action when the verb has an object. A basic or simple sentence is comprised of two essential parts: a noun phrase, often abbreviated to NP, and a verb phrase, abbreviated to VP. These terms correspond to subject and predicate in traditional language arts. In a basic sentence structure, the subject or noun phrase and predicate or verb phrase may be any word or group of words that fill the slots in the underlying sentence framework, as you can see in the examples. Let's take a look at parts of speech and some examples. A noun is a person, place, thing, idea, or name for something concrete or abstract. A pronoun is a word or phrase that substitutes for a noun. A noun marker, an article, or determiner is a word that precedes or marks a noun. A verb is a word for action, state of being, or occurrence. A verb to be is the main verb linking the subject to the subject complement in the verb phrase. This is different than the auxiliary verb that we'll talk about next. An auxiliary verb or helping verb is a verb joined with a main verb to give more information about tense, mood, number, voice, or person. An adverb modifies or tells more about a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. An adjective modifies a noun, or it's called a describing word. A preposition shows the relationship of one thing to another. A conjunction joins words, phrases, or clauses to one another. Interjections are expressions of emotion. The table on this and the preceding slide provide examples of each of these parts of speech. These examples can be very helpful if this is new learning for you. When we learn words, part of what we learn is the syntactic category to which they belong. However, the same word can belong to different syntactic categories. For example, think about the word play. The play was 3 acts. We play bridge frequently. He play acted during the date. The noun category has words that can be preceded by a determiner and that can be made plural. Adjectives precedes nouns and can be unlimited, theoretically. It sounds weird if you add too many, but theoretically they can be unlimited in number. The interactions and relationships between ideas or entities in a sentence can be described in terms of semantic roles or arguments. For example, a noun can be the doer, the done to, the experiencer of the doing, the instrument of the doing, and so forth. But it is the verb that assigns the mandatory and optional roles that other verbs must play in a sentence. The verb is totally the boss. For example, the verb to tell requires someone to do the telling something to be told, and someone to tell it to. So a sentence is not complete until the verb is satisfied. Remember, the verb is the boss. Phrases are natural groupings of words that fill a given slot in a sentence frame, and phrases may fill these grammatical categories: noun, verb, adjective, adverb, or preposition. A phrase has a head word that is the same grammatical category as the whole phrase. So that would be a noun in a noun phrase, a preposition in a prepositional phrase, etc. It's what the phrase is mainly about. So remember that prepositional phrases each have a head preposition. A preposition expresses time, place, as you can see in these examples, or object of a verb. This slide does show some of those examples. And more about verbs. As mentioned, the verb in a sentence is boss, and verbs dictate what can and cannot be in a sentence. For example, we can laugh at a joke or tell a joke. We can't laugh a joke or tell at a joke. The transitive property of a verb, or the intransitive property, is whether or not it must have a direct object or an indirect object. So let's think about that. A direct object is, it answers the question of who or what. In the sentence, I bought coffee, what was bought? Yes, coffee. So coffee is the direct object. An indirect object answers the question of to whom, or for what. I bought Alice coffee. So I, the subject, bought, which is the verb, coffee, that's what was bought, so it's the direct object. For whom is Alice? So Alice is the indirect object. So transitive verbs are not just verbs that can take an object, they demand an object. Without an object, the sentence that has a transitive verb inhabits won't seem complete. So I brought seems like an incomplete sentence. That's because the verb brought is transitive. Its object is coffee, the thing that is being brought. Without an object of some kind, this verb, it's transitive. It cannot function without that. Quick review about semantics, so let's shift our focus to that. Let's begin by thinking about formal definitions and how they're constructed. A formal classical definition for a content word, and when I say content word, that means noun, verb, adjective, or adverb. It embodies two basic components: a synonym or category to which the object, action, or idea belongs, and the distinctive properties of the object, action, or idea, including its grammatical class. So, two parts to every definition. First, a synonym or category, and then the distinctive properties. Synonyms share extensive semantic overlap. They may be used interchangeably, although words usually have slightly different meaning, as you can see in the 4 words that are synonyms for swamp. And many words have just partial semantic overlap. They really can't be used as synonyms, although they do share some features, like the next 4 examples. A semantic feature analysis is a useful exercise in social studies or science to compare the meanings of terms in a topic area, either to teach concepts or to test our students' knowledge of them. Let's think a little bit about figurative language, idioms, similes, and metaphors. Idioms are phrases or statements whose meanings are not literal. They have to be taught as wholes. Phrases like beat around the bush, bite off more than you can chew, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Similes are stated as comparison, and they use the word like or as. Useless as a wagon without wheels. Wet as a loaded sponge. So the main points from chapter 7. Knowing the meanings of individual words accounts for a large part of reading comprehension. We know that the most valuable and reliable reading tests usually include a direct measure of vocabulary knowledge. We know that good readers know more words and are better at deciphering the meanings of new words as they read. The more words a person knows, the easier it is for them to learn new words from their reading. And we know that knowledge of a word may be superficial or deep, sparse or elaborated, and abstract or deeply personal. And instruction should respect and complement the way in which semantic knowledge is organized in our verbal memories. And some key principles of vocabulary instruction from Chapter 7. It's important to select a few words that are important to the meaning of a passage and teach those words in some depth. For more in-depth teaching, focus on words likely to be encountered or used again, those high utility words. Teach word meanings in relation to other words and how the words are actually used in context. A few more recommendations. Do not emphasize looking up and copying definitions from a dictionary. Avoid having students learn a lot of obscure words with little utility. Do ask students to pronounce and use words orally in sentences that are modeled and produced before they are asked to use words in their own writing and speaking. Do use the topics and texts in the curriculum for vocabulary study. Do strive for high-quality lexical representations. That is, enabling students' familiarity with all relevant aspects of a word: phonological, orthographic, morphological, semantic, and syntactic. Well, that was an intense review of those two chapters. I hope it helped. There's so much packed into those two chapters. So this was just a quick overview. Thanks for listening.